Like you find a result and you click on it and it's just a hosting page and you need to click through to other ones and it's just pages that are there that are they've gamed the system in order to get higher up. And Google it seems, have reluctantly kind of admitted that, hey, we really need to deal with the spam to make Google relevant, because it's actually, what I've seen is more and more people are starting to look for an alternative to Google for a search engine, which I thought would never happen. Just as I came round to the point of view of reluctantly accepting Google as my search engine,
Yeah.
despite all the Johnny Five behaviour, need more input.
I mean, it would be tragic for Google if they lost their. I mean, it is virtually complete market dominance in the search. But I mean, I've certainly found DuckDuckGo is an excellent search engine. I think Roy was the one who recommended that or mentioned that before. But I've been using that quite a bit. 'Cause I mean, it's very rare that I do a search because I tend to have the sites that I visit regularly, and I stick within them mainly and rely on their links and their recommendations. So, Roy, was it you who recommended to me DuckDuckGo?
I tried a couple of times. I bookmarked the thing, and I haven't found. At least I was spending just a few seconds trying to find a way to make it go into the toolbar or the search bar, whichever one is going to make it easily available. So I tried it for about one day. It's not so good, to be honest. It's different. But the reason I was interested in this, I was trying to find something that's going to be reasonably okay and just be a bit different for me to at least try for a while. I would recommend people try that. But I think that one of the areas where Google is exceptionally good is one of the reasons it was created for. The story I heard, the one I remember, is Google had the Linux one of the first sections that they had to search was Linux, and I think it was Sergey Brin was trying to make it easy for people to look for answers and how to solve issues with Linux systems, which he was using at the time. And back in the days, it wasn't so easy to do that. These days, we take it for granted. People run forums, and you just kind of search around the web, and you find some thread that gives you the commands and things. It wasn't so easy back in the days, especially when people were using all kinds of different fora to do that sort of conversation, to get help, and these days it's a completely different story. So anyway, if you look for a very specific thing, like an issue you have with Linux, I'm not sure that DuckDuckGo is going to be very useful. But one thing I did see is if you look for some of the mainstream terms or basic things, like if you try to find a certain website by the description of the name of the site without having the address, it should work just fine and do what you look for.
Well, I mean, my test of any search engine is the search term demo scene, and I found DuckDuckGo actually to be very, very relevant. Arguably more so than Google. I've just actually run it on Bing just to say I've actually looked at it on Bing. So that's my test, my gauge, if you will, as to how I can.
To judge a search engine by how similar it is to Google. So a lot of people are used to seeing certain what's called SERPs or search engine results page. They're used to seeing it in a certain way over time. If you're interested in OpenBytes, you probably know what OpenBytes looks like if you search for it in Google. And then you tend to judge the goodness, and put it in kind of in quotes, there is no such word, the goodness of the results by how similar it is to Google. Because you start to believe, if you see it lots of times, you start to think this is the way it's supposed to be. And then you can judge the results by how close they are to Google without actually thinking, but hold on a second, is this actually more true? You know, you're used to hearing a certain story. So with search engines, you have to take an outsider's look and to actually judge the results based on what's useful to you or what. I'm not sure you can measure these things. You know, what is relevance? You know, how do you measure this? You know, by density of the words? I mean, surely not, because then you just have spam page showing up because of the way they're constructed to deceive the search engines. But
this is why Google this is the main reason, I think, why Google keep their secret sauce, their algorithms, very proprietary, is they don't want to. They've already got to be alert to people gaming the system. And I mean, that's all search engines have to do that. So they can't. I mean, as soon as you put out the criteria for how things are measured, that's it. I mean, boom, the first 100 pages you get for any result, any word you type in, is going to be full of spam links. That's what they're going to put. That's what they're going to get if they make that publicly accessible. So I totally understand why Google keep that back.
Yeah, that's a bit more of an excuse. I kind of am bothered sometimes when companies say something like, we don't make our source code available for security reasons, and sometimes companies like Diebold will tell you that. Of course, when they actually say it to you, they kind of mean the opposite. They basically mean, well, our code is terrible, we don't want to improve our code to make it secure, so we kind of hide it to hide how terribly embarrassing the code is. So that's the security side. In case of Google, they can say, well, we need secrecy because people will game the system. In some companies, it's the story of we won't be able to make profit. And a lot of companies usually find very convenient reasons to say, well, secrecy is good because, and then they find some reasons. And the same with politicians. They'll say, well, we cannot give you these documents because, they're very sensitive material. When in fact, if they did it in a certain way, or if they knew it was going to be public, they probably would be it in a more honest way, and they would be just fine just releasing it to the public. So it's very easy to find reasons why it should be closed, or to say, well, it's for your security, things like that. In this case, the security of the results. But if they do want to, if they do want to do what Wikia did, or Wikipedia had the Foundry kind of tried this Wikia thing that's supposed to be more about collaboration and trying to combat spam type results, to actually give people things which people vote on and decide, this is a better result, this should go up, this should go down. And I was trying to participate in that, which it didn't actually work eventually. That the company just kind of fired just about everyone and turned it into some kind of a link farm the last time I checked the site. But the notion that you think that the best you can do is by hiding an algorithm, by choosing an algorithm by a bunch of people who keep it secret and saying, well, it's for your own good. There has to be a better way. I'm pretty sure.
I think every way you look at that, where there's motivation, where there's money to be made in gaming the system, people will do it. I mean, the idea of WikiLeaks, not WikiLeaks, Wikipedia. The concept of Wikipedia, where anyone can go in and edit a page. So it's fine, that's great. You've got the crowdsourcing, and then you've got the controversial issues like Israel-Palestine or George Bush's page or whatever. And there's a whole flame war by people on opposite sides. And everything's partisan, everything's designed with an agenda to game the system, and no one wants to look at it honestly. So I mean, it's the same idea. If you introduce a system that says, right, people can vote it up or down, well, you're always going to have companies setting up other little shell companies whose job it is to go and vote stories up or down. And that games the results. So it doesn't matter what way you try to do it that makes it fair and makes it honest. There's always going to be people with an agenda that work for some special interest or some industry that's going to game the system. It's going to try, and that's their job, is to game the system.
Well, I'm pleased that you mentioned the term game the system, Gordon, because hopefully, Roy, if you have nothing else to add on that, we can introduce my final piece very, very simply on the basis of what Gordon just said. It's in regards to ACS law, and I think people have been listening to TechBytes for a while will know that I've been very interested in the whole court case surrounding ACS law and 27 alleged copyright infringers that it was taken to court. ACS Law was one of these firms that followed Davenport and Lyons, Tilley, Bailey and Irvine, I believe, as well, were involved. Quite a few companies that dabbled in what was termed as speculative invoicing, a term which is used to describe a copyright infringement allegation being sent to an address and offering recipients the ability to get out of a potential future court case by paying a settlement fee, usually of about £500-600. Of course, as you can appreciate, that was horrendously unpopular, and there were many